Welcome back to our newest episode of Before the Bloom podcast. And this is our real estate episode. And we are talking to Jocelyn again. Remember, we had her back, we had her on the podcast a couple weeks ago, and she's back. And I am so excited to have her because she has recently gotten licensed in real estate in Idaho. And last time she was down, I was begging her to move down and work for me. But since she has to stay in Idaho and that's not going to be a thing, she is trying to decide who to work for up there in Idaho, where to hang her license, what she wants to do with her career. And she and I had a really great conversation a couple weeks ago about all of these things. And we were like, this would have been an amazing podcast episode. So we should get on and record it. So we're just kind of winging it today and kind of letting Jocelyn ask the questions about, you know, what she wants to know, what information I can help her with, and just kind of, I don't know, just have a little chit chat about how do we get this thing going?
Yes, I am so excited to be here. Thank you for having me. It's so funny because I think back on our relationship over the past, decade now, and I'm like, you know, every conversation that we've ever had would probably be a pretty good podcast. And that's one
I
thing that I appreciate about you. And that's why I love our relationship because we're always talking about like personal growth or reflecting or what we're doing or where we've been and how we're going to get to the next place. So, I appreciate you having me on here again. And yeah, I am newly licensed, officially got my license number as of yesterday.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Got to go get my headshot done because I want my name on one of those little for sale signs in everyone's front yard.
Right.
Um,
Yep. Can't be a realtor unless you got a fancy headshot.
right, right. And I have so many questions. And how long have you been in the real estate industry? How long have you been an agent?
So I have been a licensed real estate agent for 11 years, but I've been doing this full time for almost 9. And I sell more than most normal agents. I think my worst year was like 27 and my best year was like 67 or something like that. But usually we land somewhere in between in the 40 to 50 range. I mean, and that's a high producing agent in comparison to the masses. And that's me without like a team helping me. That's just kind of me selling with a transaction coordinator. But the beautiful thing is, I got my broker's license last December and opened my own brokerage. And so now I am the owner and designated broker of Queen Creek Real Estate here in Queen Creek, Arizona. And I've got, I think, 14 agents on my team. And that's why I was begging, Justin, move down. You can be one of my agents. It'd be so great. But unfortunately, we'll just have to meet on the podcast until she's a snowbird and I can sell in
It'll
both
come
places.
sooner than you think.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
but yeah, and
But
that just affirms this. There's no better person to ask these questions, truly. So I was actually meeting with someone yesterday who was pretty just pessimistic about the whole industry as a whole. He's was a licensed agent for 35 years. And so when he brought that up, I was like, oh my goodness, I just got my license today. And he just seemed so dull and was like, oh, well, real estate isn't the same. It's not as fun as it used to be. And after the whole commission changes and all of that, that happened with the feds, and so he was almost like doom and gloom trying to prepare me. And so I just want to know, I actually don't even really know that I fully understand what happened with the whole commission change. And so maybe if you have a little bit of insight on that, but doing it for 9 years, I mean, is it not as good now as it used to be, or what do you think?
oh my gosh, yeah, there's a lot. It's so funny. Sometimes because I meet with agents too, like you were meeting with him, I have agents meeting with me in that same capacity. And believe me, there are days when I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? Why do you want to be a real estate agent? What on earth makes you think this is the career you want to take? Like seriously. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to sound all pessimistic, but like, do you understand why you're doing this? Like, do you understand what this business is about? A lot of people see the flashy headshot and the big paycheck and they think, oh, it's this glamorous lifestyle. And like, it really isn't. I mean, yes, there are things about it that are freaking great and I love it, but a lot of the things that you see on the surface are not what's going on behind the scenes. Like, oh my gosh, there's so many things that you need to do as a real estate agent, and a lot of things that you have to consider, and I don't know, to be successful in the business. And there's so many licensees out there. I mean, there's a whole, I think in the state of Arizona, there's like 60,000-ish, licensees,
That's
and
crazy.
maybe 5% of those are actually producing anything significant. I mean, those are not good numbers. Like, the odds are stacked against you as a young person getting a real estate license. But and I admit it, I've been the doom and gloom person sometimes. Not that I'm trying to be doom and gloom. I'm just trying to give them a realistic perspective of what they can encounter in the real estate world. But of course, when you came to me and told me that you wanted to, I was like, oh my gosh, yes, Jocelyn, this is everything that you are. Like for me, this is like my fourth career, and I'm telling you, everything about who I am as a person kind of could not lend itself better than it does to being a real estate agent. I swear. It's like the best career suited to who I am as a person than anything else I could possibly be doing. And
Well,
I
and
kind of feel that
honestly,
way about you.
that's kind of why I was flabbergasted about what he was saying because, I was meeting with him in my other sales job. So I'm like, you're seeing me in action. Like, you should know that I am the guy for this job, you know?
You are.
And and his wife sitting right next to him was even like, "Oh, with your door-to-door experience and the cold calling and what you're doing now, like you are seasoned for real estate. Like you are ready for the job." And but the husband was just all, "Oh, well, it's not the same and blah blah blah." And so I'm like, "Okay, well, what does that mean?"
Well, I wonder why he said that. Okay, so no, nothing against this guy. I don't know who he is, but so it is my perspective there, because I've had that same conversation with a lot of people, especially a lot of seasoned agents. Like, I don't even want to do this anymore. I'm going to let my license expire. It's time to retire. This is just, it just means it's time to retire. Personally, I don't know. I am not trying to offend anyone, but it has been my experience that the people who do not love these changes are the ones who are not as good at having difficult conversations. Those who are good at having difficult conversations, these changes have changed the business very little, if any, at least not in my market. Like, the way we do business is, I kid you not, it's exactly the same as it was before, as far as the outcomes are concerned. It's functions identically. The only thing that is different is the layers of disclosure that are required up front when you're the buyer's agent, and you have to have this conversation with them about, hey, you are hiring me. This is how I get paid. Because in the past, people are like, oh, it doesn't cost you anything. It's free for you. Well, and then they see the settlement statement, and there is the line item for the buyer broker on there, and they're like, wait a minute, I thought you said this didn't cost me anything, but there's a line item on here. You're getting paid 12 grand, and so the communication was not clear before. And so now you have to have that buyer broker agreement. Then you are required to be more clear. And so a lot of people don't want to have that conversation, especially when they're new. They're like, okay, so you have to pay me 2.5%. I'm going to try and negotiate that on the seller side of the situation. But if I can't, you still owe me. That's technically what the paperwork says, which is terrifying for buyers, and also really hard for especially a new agent to explain that. But like, if you have the right verbiage and you are coming at it from the right place, and you have somebody kind of coaching you how to say it in the right way, I mean, it's totally fine. And it's good because everybody knows up front what's going on. On the selling side, in the past, how it worked was, like, I would go in, have a conversation with the listing agent and say, okay, my brokerage charges 6% to list your house. And if we have a cooperating broker on the buyer side, then the buyer gets paid 3%, the buyer's agent gets paid 3%, and then I get paid mine. If, there's not an agent on the other side, I could technically take that whole 6%, but it just kind of depends on the agreement that you have, right? So that's how it used to be. And then you would market it in the MLS. Oh, there's a 3% buyer broker compensation. It's just automatically offered. The buyer didn't have to, they didn't have to do some hard conversation, hard negotiating, right? So now I go into a listing appointment. It's like, nope, it's a 3% listing broker compensation. This is what I tell them, plan for, 2.5 to 3%, whatever it is in your market. that's likely going to happen, and plan for that on the settlement statement. Here's the estimated numbers. Plan for that, but in the end, it's all about the negotiation, and it's the buyer agent responsibility to then request what they want to be paid in this deal, depending on the agreement that they have with their buyer, and then it's a negotiation back and forth. So at the end of the day, it almost always ends up being exactly the same as it was before. They request their 3%, the seller's already prepared to pay it. And it ends up six of one, half a dozen of the other in the end of the day. But, depending on the situation, how it's going, the negotiations are harder. I'll be honest. Your guy that you were meeting with, I understand where he's coming from. My job has never been harder than it has been in the last year. It has been far more challenging, mostly from a conversation perspective. I'm never afraid of having a hard conversation, but it has been incredibly difficult to have some of these conversations. But the more you do it, the better you get at it. And heck, you don't even know any different. So for you, it's going to be a piece of cake because you are the master learner and you are open to, however things work, and you just love it and adopt it and roll with it and, make it better. And I have no doubts about you. And you don't have those easy years to compare it to. So it doesn't even mean anything to you. So for you, you're in the best spot ever because you're going to learn how to be a master negotiator out of the gates. Some of these earlier agents, they didn't ever have to master that because it was just kind of a given. But
Yeah.
nope, you're going to be a master out of the gates.
Well, I
Lucky you.
appreciate that. And that makes sense. It's just a matter of disclosing.
Yeah,
That's the big fuss. I feel like that's not a big deal. Talk about hard conversations. You know how hard it is to knock on someone's door in their jammies and get them to even have a conversation with you.
hmm,
Like hard conversations are hard conversations. You have them every day. Now, don't
yeah.
get me wrong. Am I still completely terrified? Sure, but it just it sounds like it's not far off from what it should be anyways, you know?
Right? No, and I frankly think it should, and I don't mind it this way at all because there's never anything that you're worried about them finding out later or uncovering later. It is always easier to have those difficult conversations up front, let them know what they can expect so that when it happens, they're like, yep, I saw this coming. Because it has been my experience in not just real estate, but in life in general, that stupid things happen all the time. Stuff we
Yeah.
don't like, stuff we don't expect, or like stupid crap happens all the time. And we just know that's part of life. But that's very seldom the truly disappointing part. The disappointing part is usually in the unmet expectations, you know, about those things. We know
Yeah.
stupid crap's going to happen, but if you, as the agent, prepare your client, hey, listen, these are kind of the dumb things that could possibly happen here, and so just so you know, this could happen. It could happen like this. It could happen like this. This is how this works. So when things go quirky or sideways or whatever, you're like, yep, I was letting you know up front. And they're like, yep, you said this was going to happen. But it's when you're like, no, everything's peachy, everything's great, and then it doesn't turn out that way. They're like, but you said,
Yeah.
so there's a lot of qualifying your statements and preparing them for all possibilities in real estate. And as long as you do that well, all of those challenging things are really easy to get through because I mean, I don't know, every day it's a new challenge, which
Yeah.
is part of what I love about it. If it was the same thing every day, I would struggle to want to wake up and do this every day. But it's
That's
like,
so
nope.
true. We were talking about that yesterday. I'm like, I kind of thrive in chaos, and that is one of the things that excites me about real estate. Not that I want any transactions to be chaos. They will be as smooth as I can always make them, right?
Right.
However, I'm not naive to the fact that new challenges are going to come up every day. And
Mhm.
I'm just excited to learn how to overcome all of those challenges in a way that best serves like the people that I'm working with. And yeah, so I mean a little bit of chaos, little bit of, uncertainty. I don't know. That excites me more than it scares me. What scares me a little bit that I would love some insight on is, as you know from some of our conversations, I feel like I have a good idea of what brokerage I want to hang my license with. However, the reason why I want to hang my license with them is, well, for a plethora of reasons. But I got my license thinking, like, okay, I'm going to get my license. I'm going to hang it with this brokerage because they're awesome. There's a lot of opportunity there. And I also don't want to be naive and not see what other brokerages have to offer, if not for anything, just understanding brokerage fees and, how these deals with the brokerage and myself would be structured. And so I'm wondering, I have 3 interviews set up. And what should I ask these guys? What should I look out for? What are the red flags?
Oh my goodness. Wow. That's kind of a loaded question. And I'm not your normal, I'll be honest, I'm not your normal everyday broker. I'm a little bit, I don't know if I'd go so far as to say rogue, but I don't necessarily do things the way that a lot of brokerages do them, in the fact that they have these very, you know, oh gosh, structured training programs, if you will. And they're like, here's the formula. It has worked for years and it works for so and so, and it will also work for you. And if you follow these steps, you will be successful. And I personally have never, ever fallen into that box. As soon as I try to be like, okay, I will follow all of your rules and all of your steps, then I'm like, I don't like this. I don't, I don't like this. I don't want to do this, because I function better in a scenario where I have a little bit of freedom to kind of do things the way that I want to do them, even if it seems a little bit unconventional or outside of the box or outside of these properly laid out rules. And so, working for me, like I was interviewing somebody in your shoes just yesterday, and he was kind of asking me, he's like, XYZ brokerage, they have this very specific training program, and you show up at 8 in the morning and you have lunch at 11:30. And then, I was like, yeah, we're not doing that here. We don't do that. And he's like, well, what do you recommend for me? I'm like, you go out there and you connect with every single person that you know, and find out who it is that's in the market, and then you go and you get that deal, and then you bring them here, and then I won't let you fail. Like, and he's like, really? That's your master plan? I'm like, yeah, that's my plan. So we do it a little bit differently. And the agents that work on my team that love it here and have been here for a while, they also operate in that same way. And so, that guy yesterday, there's a very good chance he won't come here because he loves that structure of, the how to get business structure. Don't get me
Mm-hmm.
wrong. When it comes to structure on like the contract side and doing proper business and doing everything legal and ethical, oh, we are by the book around here. What I'm talking about is, how do you build your business? How do you grow your business? How do you have conversations with clients, and where do you go to find people and connect with people? That's what I'm talking about. So, and as a new agent, your main concern is, how do you get new business, and how can that brokerage help you? So, what programs does the broker, not necessarily training how to do your job, because if you get a client and you are connected with somebody who has experience that can help you, you'll learn that in the transactions. You have to have that person with experience on your team and on your side who can help you
Yeah.
along the way. But from a brokerage, and as long as you have a mentor or somebody in a mentor type position at your brokerage who can help you through the paperwork, through the transaction side of it, you're going to be good no matter where you're at, right? As long as you have a good person you can rely on, someone with experience. As far as choosing a brokerage based on how can I grow my business, that's going to be very personal for you. Into, what do you offer your new agents? Do you offer leads? And if so, what is that going to cost me? Do you offer, technology? Do you offer, and if so, what kind, and what does that cost me? And what kind of office services do I have? What kind of support do I have? What kind of broker support am I going to get? Because those are kind of the things that are going to matter most to you. Because you can go to a national chain type brand, and they are very strict with their rules and what they require of you, and how you have to show up every day, and sometimes even what you have to wear. Because I went to I was taking a buyer to see a house, and the agent was like, I'm so sorry, I have to come and let you in, but I'm wearing sweats. And I'm like, girl, I don't care. Like, I do not care. She's like, no, it's
Me too.
against my brokerage rules. Like, if you turned me in, I could get in trouble. I'm like, what? Yeah, no, we're not like that here. It's not anything that's required by the Department of Real Estate. Yeah, we're following those rules. All
Yeah.
the rest of them, it's just kind of not how we roll, you know? If I'm meeting somebody who expects me to be fancy, I'll show up fancy. If I'm meeting a farmer who needs to sell a farm and we're going to go truck through the mud, I'm going to show up in my boots. It just, adapt to the situation that you're in. And as far as the brokerage is concerned, is the culture, the people, the processes, the office, the protocol, what works best with you and who you are and how you want to show up every day. And do you feel comfortable doing it? So my biggest thing with real estate, building a real estate business, is creating connections. It's one thing. How do you grow your business? You connect with people. That's it. The job part of it, that's the easy part. Somebody can, with experience, can teach you that. But connecting with people, that's very personal, and that's very much on you and how you connect with people best. And you are better than most at connecting with people in so many ways. And so you just have to decide, what method of connecting with people resonates the most with me, and how does that brokerage support that? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think that there was a lot of insight there that I'm really grateful for. And it really kind of affirms I still am going to go and talk to these other brokerages just to, I don't know, if not anything, meet different people and agents from different brokerages where I have an excuse of, I mean, I'm only a first time licensed agent once. So now I can walk into any brokerage and be like, hey, I'm Jocelyn, and build a connection with people and get to meet with people who actually want to talk to me because I could, be a potential prospect for their brokerage. So I feel like even that's an opportunity to build and make connections with other agents in my area because who knows when I'm going to be on the other side of a deal of one of those agents. And if I can just right off the bat with a couple, people from different brokerages make a connection to where they know just from meeting with me that me being on the other side of their deal is the best bet, then I
Yes.
want to be able to have that opportunity to do that. So that's another reason why I thought maybe it'd be a good idea just to go out there and meet with people from other brokerages, just to really kind of start to introduce myself to all the people around me in that world already.
Hmm.
And yeah, I don't know.
Well, that's good. Like, what did you find out? What are some of the things that you are looking for, like in as far as people around you and the kind of support that you feel like you're going to need? What is more important? What is the most important thing to you?
I think that it is just people willing to kind of hold my hand a little bit because here's the thing that I think you know about me already. Sales did not come natural to me. I love people, I love building relationships. I've always had that on my side. However, when I first started doing door to door, I worked for almost an entire year for free, definitely a full summer. And I really had to put in a lot of work and time and repetition to get my wits about me to actually be good at what I was doing. And luckily, what gave me a little bit of confidence was when I transitioned into solar, my learning curve was much, much smaller. But this is a
Hmm.
whole new industry with a lot of technicalities. And that's the part that I'm more nervous about is all the technicalities. So as long as I can have someone walking me, holding my hand through like the contract side and, making sure that I'm executing everything the way that I should be so I know exactly how it's supposed to be done a couple times and then I can replicate that
Hmm.
because I'm very process oriented, but also I'm very process oriented and I love perfecting the process so then I can make it my own. Not in a way of reinventing the
Yeah.
wheel because I won't do that. I've tried that. That's why I worked for a whole summer and didn't make any money. But in a way that I can bring my own personality and my own jazz into the process that makes it work best for each individual person that I'm working with. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
So, as long as I can have someone hold my hand in that regard, at least for the first couple transactions, or who knows,
Yeah.
however many I need, to be honest, because it took me a while with alarms, nowhere near as long with solar, and hopefully I'm just like smooth sailing with real estate, but I won't
Yeah.
set that.
Some of this comes with age, and you're so mature now, you know. So I think you'll be fine.
Yeah. I'm really excited for it. I feel like it's been a long time coming, and this, like you mentioned so kindly, real estate, I just feel like it's a part of my personality. Like I feel like I have a great personality for it, and I'm just so ready to help people buy houses because I loved buying my house. It was the most emotional process I probably have ever gone through in my life and maybe will ever go through. It was an emotional roller coaster, but having my agent hold my hand through it and like talk me off ledges and help me feel more secure in the investment that I was making, I want to help people feel that ease
Hmm.
in making the decision to buy a home, whether it's for the first time or for the 50th time. And that's
Yeah.
another thing that I like about the brokerage that I'm looking at is they're so investor involved. And I want to own 20 doors. And so the fact that I can grow my business with people who really help investors will be able to help me help other investors and help me invest myself. And so there's a lot of opportunity. I'm super excited about it. And I think that the insight that you provided about the brokerages and the training, that was really kind of exactly what I was looking for. And it did affirm me again in where I'm at. And I'm just excited to like go out there and make my network of people and get after it. Because they did say, they
Yes.
were like, well, as soon as you sign this agreement, we got leads that you can start working on. Well, with Danielle, of course. I will pretty much be a fly on the wall for as long as they let me, but
Nice. Well, that's good. Yeah, as long as you have somebody that you can shadow, that you can, kind of look up to and, emulate, and you resonate with that person, you're going to be so much better off. Because when I came into this business, like for real, like I said, I'd been licensed for 11, but I didn't do it full time I've only been doing it full time for 9, because the first 2 years I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. Like zero ideas what I was doing. But then I got connected with my mentor, who was an absolutely amazing, amazing person, an amazing agent. And she was actually trying to retire and wanted somebody. She had built a really good business and didn't want to just walk away from it. And so she was wanting someone who could kind of come in and be taught and kind of take over, if you will. And so I know she had attempted with a couple of other people, and it just wasn't quite the right fit. And when I showed up, I'm like, it's me. Send me. I'm the one. I can do this. That's all that I will. And she's like, yeah, we'll see. And I was like, no, I'm serious. I'm here for it. I am here for it. I will do whatever. I will do whatever it takes. I will do whatever you say, because I was willing to do whatever she said, because I knew who she was as a person, and that at the very core, integrity was number one for her. And then, right behind that was professionalism and knowledge. And, you know, I was like, oh yeah, I'm in excellent hands with her. And that's why I decided to stay with her versus going with someone else, is because I knew I was in good hands. I knew that she would take care of me. And that I would learn what I needed to learn, and I would learn it, not just learn it, but learn it in the way that is the best, frankly. Because, I do a lot of transactions. I'm a very heavy listing agent, and there's a lot of, I work with a lot of agents, buying agents on the other side of the transactions. And oh my gosh, believe me, not everybody is trained well, and not everybody had somebody looking after them, and making sure that they were doing things the right way, and not just the right way, but like a better way or the best way. Because yeah, there's ways you can do your job and just kind of skate by. Plenty of agents do it. They do it. They do it all the time. And it's seasoned agents. I'll work across from an agent and be like, wow, you're really just skating by doing the bare minimum. And I'll be like, they must be new. And I'll look them up. Oh, shoot, you've sold like 275 houses. But I personally have never wanted to be that agent. I don't want to be the one that just skates by. I want to be the one who, when I get a review at the end of that deal, they're like, she was exceptional. She was so good. Like she went above and beyond. She did things that I wasn't expecting, and she was more knowledgeable than I thought she was going to be. And she did things that most agents won't do. And she was always there for us, and she knew, and she looked out for our best interest. And that's what I want people to say about me. And that's the kind of agent that my mentor was, and that was the agent that I was going to make sure and always be when I was in that mentor role, is to not just, get by and meet the bare minimums, but how can we be exceptional at this? How
Yeah.
can we do the best job that we can? And I love just that whole learn by doing kind of a thing, structured, this is how you do it. It's like, okay, there is a place for that, but at the end of the day, in all of the transactions I've done, we're approaching 400 now, and that's a lot.
That
Um,
is. Wait, and is
and
that in your brokerage since you opened, or is that
oh no,
in
gosh, no.
I'm like,
Oh,
oh
that's
my
so
goodness, lady,
nice.
I knew you were good, but sheesh.
That's so nice that you thought that. No, that's like me and my transactions since I've been licensed.
That is awesome. That's
And
still
so,
freaking badass.
that's over a decade's worth of time. But still, I mean, that's a lot. But none of them have been exactly like another one. Not one transaction has been the exact same as another one. It's just, no, it's not. You can never fully prepare for anything. So like the conversation I was having with the agent yesterday, he's like, um, okay, so what should I do? I'm like, just go make a connection, find somebody who's in the market, and then you bring them in here, and then we'll make sure you succeed. And he's like, what? That just seems crazy. Like, can you give me more specific advice? I'm like, not really, because I don't know what I don't know what you're gonna bring me. But I'm telling you, I've been doing this long enough that if you bring me somebody, we will make that happen. And it's like, it doesn't matter what it is. I've got enough experience to let you know how we need to handle it, but I won't know what that is until you bring it. So just go and get it, bring it in, and then we'll be off to the races. And he's like, oh my gosh, this
So
is
what is
not.
that? I feel like I have a good idea of what that could look like for a new agent, and maybe you can help me add some things to the list that maybe I'm missing. But, here in Idaho, you know me, I grew up in New Jersey. I lived in Arizona for 4 years. I lived in a lot of states in my early 20s until I, settled down here in Idaho 2 years ago. And I have a bit of a warm network, right? I have Dylan and his family and his extended family, and then some of the friends that I've made, and, hopefully some of their friends too. But starting out in a market that I'm not super involved in yet, what do you recommend for lead generation? I'll tell you what I've come up with so far, but, I'm thinking joining the Chamber of Commerce in some of the two cities that I really want to perform real estate transactions in, like Boise, because it's the biggest city and market in the capital here. But then Kuna is just south and it is expanding so rapidly. And I figured that would be a good spot. And so I thought maybe joining those chambers, getting involved in as many events as I can, and just getting out there and showing my face and introducing myself to people, telling them who I am and what I do and what I aspire to be. And so I feel like that would be strategy number one, right? Maybe going out there and becoming a part of the chamber. However, fortunately, with the sales jobs that I've had, I have the money to go and join those chambers. A lot of chambers have annual fees.
Yeah.
And so maybe if I'm looking for a bit more of a cost effective route, one thing that I did start doing over the winter time last year was I just started showing up at open houses. And I wasn't in my real estate courses yet, but I knew it was coming. And, I have my property management business, Capital City Comforts. And so the goal there was people who were running the open houses. I would just walk in, tour the house. They'd ask me questions. I'd ask them questions. And then I'd give them my card and I'd say, hey, I have this property management business. Whoever ends up buying the house, if they want to make it a short-term rental property, I am full service management. This is what I offer. Here you go. And they were like, oh my goodness, that's awesome. There's no one that's like seriously doing that in our market, blah, blah, blah. And so I figured if I could maybe make a part of the conversation and maybe switch off, one talking about Capital City or the other just introducing myself as a new agent and wanting to see what's on the market and what they think about the area, and then handing them my business card just to get insight from people who have done it before, but also, I don't know, just to get my name out there and build relationships. I don't really know how that could turn fruitful, but maybe you can tell me if you think that's a good strategy. And other than that, I don't know. Do you recommend, because a lot of people would say, of course, I'm going to post on Facebook and Instagram, like, hey, I'm a
Mhm.
licensed agent now, just letting the world know. But like, how aggressive or like how forward do you got? Are you DMing your friends when you first got licensed and you're like, hey, I'm an agent, want to buy a house? Or what could be another strategy? And is that enough, or am I missing
Oh
anything?
my gosh. I know this is the craziest question in all of real estate is, yeah, what do you do? What do you do? So then that's what the guy asked me yesterday too. I was like, yes, you should absolutely write like a letter. It can be an email format or whatever, and send it out to everybody that you know in the area where you're trying to work, and say, hey, this is who I am. This is what I'm doing. This is, I'm on a team that's got me backed up. Because his concern was like, "Oh, I'm not just going to go out there." Because I was like, go get somebody and bring them in here and we'll make you look good. He's like, I'm not going to do that because I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like, no, that's exactly, but you can't, you don't even have an opportunity to look good if you don't bring them in. So you have to bring them in. And so you just have to, and that's where you have to know and believe deeply in the people behind you, that they will back you up when you inevitably, without a doubt, will bring those buyers and sellers in, right? And so that's, the behind the scenes, that's all, as long as you're on a good team, you're good to go. So there's really one thing. It's connecting with people. And so how do you connect with people the best way, right? Some people are like, oh, I'd rather cold call so I can sit in my desk and, in my, basketball shorts and my headset. And that's how they connect best with people. That's not how I connect best with people. That's not how you connect best with people, right?
I'm a
Our
face to face kind of gal.
Oh yeah, you and I are very, very much wired the same. And so, yeah, I just went to a Chamber of Commerce meeting yesterday, and there were two agents there, me and another one, and of course, I tried to recruit her to the brokerage, but you know what I mean. But yes, getting yourself out there, not just in front of buyers and sellers, but in front of other business people, and that's what the chamber is good for too, is other business people who, they might run across somebody and be like, oh my gosh, I met this girl the other day, and she's amazing. Her name's Jocelyn, and you should call her, because people love helping people. They love connecting people. They love to be able to help. And those are the people who join the chamber. And so, personally, I've been a part of the chamber for a while. Has it gotten me like a ton of business? No, not really. But it's made me a better agent because I am better at connecting with people in the community. I know what's going on in the community. I know who's doing what. I know, oh, you need something? I know who to refer you to because I met so and so who has an HVAC company at the chamber luncheon the other day. So yes, joining the chamber is huge. It's a great way to connect with people and other like-minded business people, even if they're not your actual clients, but it's all just a web, right? Um, and and then I mean, yes, social media. Okay, you mentioned social media. We are in a day and age where social media is kind of everything. And frankly, I've seen some examples in my market where your visibility is literally almost more important than your ability. And it's tragic. Seriously, it's like necessary, but also you can get those people who are so good at social media that you're like, dang, they must be a baller. They're so good. And then you look them up and they're not doing hardly any business. Or you run into them on a transaction and you're like, wow, you were an absolute mediocre agent, but you are extraordinary at marketing yourself, you know? And so I mean, that's the power of social media. Social media is everything. How do you get out there? But but that's the thing. When it comes to social media, what do you post? Do you just become visible? Or do you, I'm not a fan of just being visible for the sake of being visible, right? If I'm going to be on social media, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like one of three things. I'm either trying to build trust or provide something of value. Usually those two kind of run hand in hand, or I'm trying to be legitimately entertaining, and entertaining should be, more on the back end, because you can be an entertaining, hilarious real estate social media person and have no business. Oh, shoot. Watch out. I'm getting a little crazy with my hands over here. But I'm so passionate about this. But, but you don't want to, I don't know. And he's like, well, that's kind of, it's kind of embarrassing to post stuff on social media. I'm like, listen, I know exactly what you're talking about, but there is a difference between posting embarrassing things because believe me, there's a lot of cringy realtors out there posting what I would consider to be embarrassing things to myself. I'm like, I would be too embarrassed to post something so cringy and dumb. Please don't do that.
Yeah.
But then there's, I'm embarrassed to put myself out there, to be on camera, to whatever. And I'm like, okay, you have to distinguish between doing something that's embarrassing and I feel embarrassed about being in front of the camera. But you have to just kind of embrace the embarrassment part if it's stemming solely from insecurity and lack of knowledge, and just kind of throw that out the window and know that as long as you are being authentic and you are showing up with intention to provide something of value, like information is huge, like real information about the market, about the community, about things that are coming up in your neighborhood, things that affect real estate, and if you live in this community, this is the kind of lifestyle that you're going to have. Those are things that provide value to people that are watching. Or like once you've closed transactions, posting about them, because that builds trust. They're like, oh, well, she's doing stuff. She's not only, because I see those influencers who are like, they know everything about the community, but I'm like, you're not even doing any transactions, and so you kind of need both. It's like, hey, I am a member of this community, I know what's going on here, I can help guide you based on, not just on the house side of things, but like what do you want for the community that you're living in? How close do you want your grocery store to be? And you're this and you're that. Like, I am very familiar with my community and I provide valuable content regarding the lifestyle of living here or investing here or whatever it is that you're, whoever it is you're trying to appeal to as your clients. And then, and then that trustworthy factor of like, hey, it, like we're closing deals over here. We are doing business. We're not just showing our face on social media, but we're working. And so what I tell my agents on my team, they're like, yeah, but I am not doing anything. You know what? You're a part of my team. Like, my experience is your experience. And so we, as the team, this is what our team is doing. And you can participate with me in doing the things that I'm doing so that you can be a part of it. And kind of you just piggyback and tag along with me until you gain your own experience. But at the same time, you use my experience to create trust in your people, right? You're going to do the same with your brokerage. Find someone who's trustworthy, hold on to their coattails and use their experience as your experience until it becomes your own, right? It's us, it's we. You don't ever want to misrepresent and say, I this, I that, when it really wasn't you, but you're like,
Mhm.
they're letting me be a part of this. I'm a part of this. This is what they're doing. This is what I'm learning, and I'm a part of it. And that's where my trustworthiness is coming from, right? So it's don't do embarrassing things, but don't be afraid to be embarrassed to put yourself out there as long as you're providing something that has value, and creating trust. And, every now and again, you throwing in the entertaining stuff too, because, people want to see the real authentic you. They want to know that you're a real person and you're not just a robot who's following the scripts provided by XYZ training company or whoever it is that's telling you, if you do this and this. Authenticity. I've got an agent on my team who he's like, oh my gosh, doing these videos is the most embarrassing thing ever. I'm like, yeah, but you have a listing and you need to showcase it and you need
Yeah.
to show that you're the one there. You need people to know that it's your listing and it's you. So you have to be in the video. He's like, oh my gosh, it's so embarrassing. I'm like, would it be embarrassing if another agent was posting about their listing that looks as awesome as this? And he's like, no. I'm like, okay, so it's not, what you're doing is not embarrassing. You're just embarrassed to do it. And that's what we got to get over. We got to get over that part, right? So, and he's like, oh, I sound like a dummy. I'm like, good. He's like, my homies are going to give me so much crap for this. I'm like, good, because then it's going to start a conversation and they're going to be like, bro, oh my gosh, you act like a robot, and they're not going to love it the same way as that if you just show up as a real authentic version of you. And that's where people connect with you. They want to connect with you, and they want to connect with an authentic person. And so you putting yourself out there in an authentic way the chamber, social media is huge. Like it's just, inevitable. You have to do it. But those in-person connections are even better. Are there any networking groups you can join? Can you, I don't know, meet people at, I don't know, farmers market, or meet up with other small businesses to, do an event that brings people in and kind of creates exposure for everybody. How can you just get in front of people? Doing things. Another agent on my team, she joins, she's a mom of young kids. And so she's like, oh, I'll join the mommy and me fitness groups or whatever. And she's gotten clients out of there. Um, just, I don't know, where do you feel comfortable joining a running group or a hiking group, or I don't know, do things that resonate with your soul and then connect with those people that you meet through that. That's
That's so
really,
funny. Because that is what I'm honestly kind of the most excited about. I'm excited about everything. I'm going to say I'm excited the most about everything because I am excited the most about everything that I talk about that I'm excited about. But anyways, um
and that's why I
I'm
love you so much.
really excited for that version of myself. Like I've wanted to post on social media, but I haven't really ever known what to post about. And am I a little nervous and embarrassed to do it? Sure. Do I know that my first couple videos might be a little cringy? Probably. But I'm willing to go through those growing pains because I know that it can be so fruitful, not only just in business, but just with keeping up with my relationships with my family in New Jersey and becoming a part of running clubs. I just ran a 10K last Saturday. I don't like running, but I like to do hard things. And so just being able to join more and be a part of more and then share it with my friends and my family and my business partners and the people that I care about on social media, I think is finally going to draw this version of myself out of me that I've carved over all these years that I get to fine tune while mastering my new craft and my new business and this new version of myself and this newfound confidence. And I know that there's going to be good days and there's going to be bad days. But I'm ready. I'm ready to ride the highs and lows of this real estate roller coaster.
Oh,
And
I love
I
it.
couldn't be more grateful than to get so much good insight from someone like you, who is a freaking mentor in my life and has so much experience in this industry already. And so, anyone listening to this, I think, could learn so much just from hearing everything that you have to say. So
Oh
I'm
my
grateful.
gosh,
I'm
Jocelyn,
grateful.
you're the best. Seriously, I, it is an absolute pleasure to be able to help you and to, talk you through some of these things and give you any advice that I can. I don't know. I love helping people who I know want to be good at what they are doing and they want to succeed and they want to work hard. And when I bring an agent on my team, it's really I was like, there's three things. There's three things that you need. It's the first one is work ethic, which you absolutely have undying work ethic. No one has ever knocked doors who does not have undying work ethic. It is mandatory. You
That
definitely
it
have
is.
that. And then integrity is everything. Everything. Integrity is everything. Do things the right way and do what is right for the client, for the situation, for the other parties in the transaction. Yes, you represent your client, but you have to always do right by people in general all the time. And then your willingness to learn. Because if you are open to learn and all of these things, I mean, all of that, that's you to the T. And that's when I knew that my mentor that I was working with, we saw eye to eye on those three things. And that's all we needed. She and I never even had a written agreement about our business. We just both knew. We just knew who the other one was, that integrity was everything, hard work was everything, and that she was going to learn anything she needed. I was going to learn whatever I needed to learn. And that was truly the recipe for success. Honestly, hard work, willingness to learn, and just integrity at the very core. And I know that that's you. I I adore you so much. And I just know without a shadow of a doubt that you're going to be successful. And I remember, oh my gosh, last time I talked to you when you said, what goals should I set for myself for next year or like my first year? And I was like, oh, that's a tough one because real estate can be tough. And I don't want to be discouraging, but I also want to set realistic expectations that real estate's a tough business, especially if you don't have a solid built-in hardcore personal network in the area in which you're trying to sell. Yet is the key word here.
Emphasis on the yet.
Yet, right? That wait, what were we talking? What were we talking about?
You were talking about how real estate is hard and you're not being a doom and gloomer, but it's hard.
Help me now. No, you were asking me a question when I talked to you. Shoot,
Oh,
we're gonna have to cut this part out.
wait, did
What
I ask the last did I ask the last question? I
No, we
think
were talking about, oh, help
we talk
me.
about integrity, never had a written agreement. Real
Oh,
estate is
the goals.
hard.
The goals for the year.
The goals, yes, the goals.
Shoot.
Riverside just
Help
cut
me
this
now.
off, so it
My
stinks.
brain is fried. I need to snack. But no, you said, what goals should I set for myself? And I'm like, yeah, this is a tough business. It's a tough business to set those kind of goals. And I'm going to sell 10 houses. And I'm like, you might not. Like, that's a really hard thing. And so my advice to you that I told you then, and I'll tell you again here, is to not necessarily your first year out of the gate set goals for how many houses you're going to sell or properties you're going to sell, but rather how many connections you're going to make. How many connections are you going to make, and how are you going to make them, and set those goals for yourself, because it's all about, you can't manufacture a buyer or a seller, right? They're going to be in the market when they're ready to be in the market, but how can you position yourself to be the one that they choose when they are ready, right? And so it's about, how can I control the things that I can control, and the things that I can control are how many connections that I'm making. How many new people am I meeting? How many people am I talking to in a month? And then, just decide, how do I want to go about doing that? And those are the goals that you should set I think you should set. I hate using the word should, but you know what I mean? If I were to say that, that's what I think you should do, is to just make a goal for how many conversations you want to have, how many connections do you want to make, and how do you want to make them? And then let that be your goal. And then, I swear to you, if you just work to serve and just do what it takes to put yourself out there, then the work just shows up. It does. It can't help but show up, because I hate to say this about my own industry, but not everybody with a real estate license is awesome. And believe me, in a competitive world, which, yeah, the whole NAR thing and the compensation thing, it has weeded out some of those agents that are not as hardcore. They're not as like in it for real. If you were just in it to make an easy commission, those are the ones, they're out of here. We're in it to be as good of agents as we can possibly be. And, if you're that person, which I know you are without a shadow of a doubt, like, it's inevitable. There's no way you're not going to succeed. Like, success is yours. It's just a matter of time. Putting in the work.
I'm excited about it. I really appreciate all of your belief in me, because that is what is going to fuel me in these upcoming difficult but rewarding and lots of learning months to come ahead. So
Oh
I
my
appreciate
gosh.
you a ton.
Well, you are amazing. And I'm so grateful that you want to come on here and have these conversations, because I definitely want to do this with you again. I think you're open to that, right?
Oh my goodness, I have so many more questions, but to spare all of us, we will save it for the next one, because I will sit here and
Okay.
I will pick your brain for hours. You know that, you know me. I will leave, if you let me, I will not leave a single stone unturned,
Oh my gosh. Well,
especially when
I
it comes
love
to
it
me trying
because
to absorb as much as I can.
I love it. I love it. Because I am more than happy to, have these conversations with you to help you, not only you, but anybody who's watching this could also be served by it. Because I'm telling you, if you don't know Jocelyn, you should. And even if it's only through this podcast, you'll be blessed by having her in your life, I swear.
And who knows,
Yeah.
maybe you'll see me on my own podcast one of these days. So,
Right,
yeah.
absolutely. Well, we are coming up on the hour, and if there, do you have anything, last things you want to say, or should we save it for next time, for the
I
next real estate
think
edition?
I I think we save it for next time. And I appreciate you. I mean, except the fact that I appreciate you coming on here and doing this with me and answering all my questions. I couldn't be more grateful. Anyone who listens to this, I feel like there's so many golden nuggets that you can extract and apply in your life, whether it's in real estate, whether it's in really any sort of business, it all translates. And that's kind of what I'm excited about is I just feel like as long as I emulate who I am in all of my businesses, we'll make it work. So
We
I
will.
appreciate
Yep.
you and all of your insight.
Oh my gosh, you are absolutely welcome. Thank you guys so much for joining us today, and we will catch you next time. I know we're still new to this podcasting game, but hey, subscribe. Let everybody know that you're one of those early adopters, and still be with us for who knows years to come. So thanks again, and we will see you next time. Bye,
Bye.
guys.